Yeah, if Neil starts drinking coffee, he's just going to go buy the packets.
If Neil starts drinking coffee, I could just see his odd running times.
His marathon times will go down.
This is great! I love it! Give me more! Forget that water!
Welcome to the Archispeak Podcast, the podcast for architects by architects, where we discuss all things about architecture. I'm Neil Pan. Each episode, Evan Troxel, Cormac Phelan, and me invite you in on the conversation as we talk about everything in the profession, both the good and the bad. Maybe you're considering a career in architecture, you're still in school, or you've been around the block more times than you'd like to admit. Join us in the studio as we gather around the water cooler and talk about this profession we call architecture. It's time for some Archispeak.
I died in South Africa, only outlined my body in Tiffany blue. When I died, I drove right in and swam with the dolphins and Lisa Frank. And you.
Welcome to episode 65 of the Archispeak Podcast. I'm Neil Pan.
I'm Evan Troxel.
And I'm Cormac Phelan.
And this episode of Archispeak is sponsored by ArcCat. Visit them at arcat.com. And we're also sponsored by Architect Exam Prep. Help yourself pass the ARE by visiting our Pass the Architects Registration Exam page at archispeakpodcast.com/ARE. And use the link there to purchase your study guides. And so for this episode, we've got a few different topics that we wanted to cover. So this is going to be a little more rapid fire. Some things that some listeners have given us over some time, and we want to revisit some and talk about them. And then a couple we've had on our own list for a little while that wouldn't really fill an entire episode, but we wanted to touch on. And I think that first topic has been on our list a long time, and I'm really curious what you guys have to say about this. And the title was The Importance of Coffee.
The key ingredient to starting every day.
Doesn't it just speak for itself?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't speak for itself.
Of coffee.
Oh, see, get your arrows ready, guys.
Get ready and let everybody know. Admit it.
I'll admit it. This is, this will feel good, kind of cathartic sort of thing here. I don't drink coffee. I never have.
Never.
Never. I never have.
You know, I didn't start until I was 35.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
So just like,
Wow.
last week or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is babies.
Yeah, I know. I never drank coffee in college, and I lived off of soda to my detriment.
Yeah.
All right. So it was the soda addiction.
Yep.
I didn't have that in college either. I would have I would have a soda. Yeah, but I wasn't the guy that had like the whole wall of next to his desk, in lab, full of coffee cans, all kind of like hot glued together or something. Soda cans. Yeah, soda cans, all hot glued together. Did somebody in your school ever do something like that? Yeah. I know I've seen that.
Made chairs. We made chairs.
Made chairs.
Oh,
good.
Okay.
Lightweight, recyclable. It's nice.
Absolutely.
Forward thinking.
Yeah. We, my coffee addiction started, my dad drank black coffee every day, all day, and he'd basically brew a pot and then turn it off, and either it would start off hot to cold. Didn't understand how he could do that. And then my grandma actually taught me how to drink coffee with heavy cream, heavy sugar. And
so not really coffee, more like cream and sugar with a little coffee flavor.
A caffeinated beverage.
Well, I elevated it to cafe au lait.
All right.
And then it was really the Army that pulling guard duty during Desert Storm. I needed my coffee, drank coffee a lot, and then that was pretty much it. Haven't looked back. So thank you, people shooting at me.
Yeah. I replaced soda with coffee. So I gave up. I haven't had soda in 5 years, so I've been drinking coffee for 5 years. But I've gotten to the point now where I don't need any sugar in my coffee. So
speaking
Whoa,
of soda,
hardcore.
sugar.
I'm about 5 months clean.
Really?
I haven't had soda in a long time, in 5 months, and my wife and I both kicked it, and we were like, I don't even really want it.
You don't miss it. Yeah.
No.
Takes a while to get to that point.
Sorta.
I think it takes a while to get to that point, but yeah.
I see that, that good Diet Coke commercial. I'm like,
Oh, that stuff will kill you. Jeez.
I know. And it was. Anyway.
So yeah, coffee is important. Cold brew, hot brew, doesn't matter.
I'm curious what our listeners, what's your favorite?
I'm sure we have some coffee snobs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
So let us know. Leave us a message on the website or something. Let us know what your favorite coffee is and how you like to have it.
Yeah. What coffee proprietors are you making filthy rich?
Oh yeah, exactly. Are like Starbucks or Pete's or
Intelligentsia, Blue Bottle. There's all kinds of great ones out here.
Caribou.
All right, so write in and let us know. We're Archispeak is curious. What is your coffee addiction?
You can make a really good coffee out of a really cheap coffee with good cold brew method or whatever. But my wife turned me on to the heavy whipping cream, the manufacturing cream in the coffee, and that is the best.
All right, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Before we leave this topic, guys, how do you make your coffee?
I use an AeroPress. I think I used.
I think that was a gift.
Idea.
Yeah, that was a gift idea
for one of our gift shows. But the AeroPress is great. But the better way to do it now, I think. I mean, that's great for one single cup if you've got some beans or whatever. But we do a cold brew in a pitcher, and you let it sit out for about 12 hours. You just let it. I don't remember what the exact mix is, and then you strain it, and then you've got like this coffee concentrate. And then we just you have a little bit, like a quarter cup. Makes a full cup of coffee because it's really concentrated. It'll go right through you if you drink it too stiff. But it's not acidic, not bitter. Really good way to make coffee. So
wow.
I'm old school blue collar. I'm Mr. Coffee Drip.
So you've got like
I have a Mr. Coffee.
Mr. Coffee. Yeah,
that's right. My dad had one. If it wasn't too good for my dad, it's not too good for me.
They still make those things, like Mr. Coffee,
Damn
coffee
right
makers.
They do.
Oh, hey, all right. Hey, remember, you're talking to the non-coffee drinker here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If Neil starts drinking coffee, he's just going to go buy the packets.
If Neil starts drinking coffee, I could just see his odd running times.
His marathon times will go down.
This is great. I love it. Give me more. Forget that water.
There's caffeine in when I do my long runs. I use several different energy and food supplements, and they all have caffeine in them. And in fact, I buy the ones that say 2x caffeine or something because it helps you
double shot.
Yeah, it definitely helps you, but it's not drinking coffee, but it has the caffeine in it. So it's not that I'm caffeine averse. It's just I don't care for the taste of coffee, and I never acquired it. So anyway, if you have your favorite way to make it, or your favorite coffee, or your favorite outlet to get your coffee, let us know. We're curious. Share it with everybody. Another topic that that I brought up, and this is actually spurred on by another conversation a while back between a few other architects, is talking about what fonts or what typefaces do you like to use on your drawings, or should you use? I mean, there seems to be. I mean, years ago, right? I mean,
how about just should not use?
No. Let's just all agree that we all know that Comic Sans is the business. It's what we should.
You know what, Cormac?
Or the devil, whatever.
I can't see you, but you can't even say that with a straight face.
No, I can't.
Thank you.
You can't say that with a straight face.
Comic books don't even use Comic Sans.
Of course not.
No,
they have taste. Yeah, so there's a great McSweeney's article on Comic Sans. You got to look it up. We'll put it in the show notes.
I read that.
It's first person straight from the mind of Comic Sans. It's a well written article. Probably one of their most popular. Okay, so what fonts do you use, Neil? Should you use? Sorry.
All right. So I got to go back. I mean, years ago, what
do you name your hand lettering, Neil?
When we were stone carving.
No, I mean, come on, guys. We all started, except for maybe Evan. You know, we in college, right? I mean, I want to hear from the listeners out there that had to when they were just starting out in college.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure you do. But when you went to Cal Poly Pomona, did they make you sit down and hand letter an entire 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper?
No, I did that in high school.
Oh, all right.
8.5 by 11.
Oh,
Huge sheets.
Shoots. No, but I mean, you never did. Well, actually, I think I might have posted. Didn't I post? I may not have posted.
You posted a drawing of a car or something.
No, but I posted a plate from like 7th or 8th grade where we did like the whole sheet in lettering. But that was more mechanical lettering back then. And then in college, you know, they made us practice the architectural style lettering, and then you kind of, could add your own taste or flair to it eventually. But so when we first started doing computer drawings, I mean, everybody had to have some sort of hand lettered looking font, right? And that's kind of what we all used. But I think nowadays, I mean, it's all over the board. You use a lot of sans serif fonts in drawings, and then people like to use the more hand lettered looking fonts.
I like when you get all technical.
What did I drop?
Sans serifs. Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, real quick though, what do your drawings have right now?
Right,
when you open up your drawings,
you already know what they have.
I already know what I have.
You know what they all have.
Exactly.
The default font that comes in Revit or AutoCAD.
Say it, Neil. I want to hear you say it.
What font?
He doesn't know.
What's the default font? Like AutoCAD default font? I have no idea. What is that? Simplex or something? I don't know what it is.
Actually, the default straight out of Revit. Arial.
Oh,
yes.
God, I
Arial.
hate that.
Ugh.
Arial
is the cheapest
Microsoft's
Helvetica
rip-off
knockoff ever.
Microsoft's rip-off of Helvetica.
But it's everywhere. It's prolific.
I hate
It's
that font.
everywhere.
Not anywhere on my machine.
It's
if I
just
can
people
avoid
who
it.
don't care.
Or people that don't know, right? So in my drawings, years ago, back in the, I don't know, about early 90s, about maybe 1990 or so, Adobe came out with a product called, it was a Adobe Type Manager or something like that.
ATM.
Huh.
Yeah, ATM. And so, they came out with Adobe Type Manager that allowed you to have, more fonts on your machine. And they created a font based on Frank Ching's hand lettering. They called it Tecton.
Yep.
And I bought it. I mean, I literally bought that font way back in, 1990 or something, because I thought it was just the bomb. So, that's what I used. And
you just
so
dated yourself twice in that
I was gonna say. It is the first words he ever typed were
hey,
the
you
bomb.
know what, guys? You guys give me shit about this all the time. So, I don't care anymore. It's like, whatever. I'll date myself. But, there's enough
you than me.
Hey, I need to hear, I need some help from our listeners here. Come on. I know I'm not the only guy.
There's a
out
lot of
here
people
that,
who still use the
started
hand
this
lettered
way.
font, but I don't think they use Tecton anymore. I can't remember the name of it, but I've seen it in quite a few details and stuff that people are posting on Instagram. And
What is that font?
I can't remember the name, but we used
It
to
looks
use it
like
in
shit.
MicroStation. We used to use it.
It's horrible. I don't know what that font is, but it looks like crap. It's like this most elongated, goofy ass looking font. I don't like it at all.
I think it's better than Tecton, though.
I disagree. I think
Tecton
Frank's,
is too thin.
Yeah, you think so?
I think it is. I think the line weights are too thin.
Okay.
And I think the letters are too skinny. I don't know how to say it, but
Right.
they're too condensed.
Too condensed.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, that's certainly
Well, unless you do it in lowercase, and it's like, because I've seen that and it looks good, but I don't like it in uppercase.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I do.
Being a little nerdy
I
here.
like it. Although when I started my own firm, I used Tecton for most of my text, and then for like my title text, I used a different font. I think it's Myriad or something like that. It's an Adobe based font or Adobe created font, and it's actually the one that Apple uses a lot.
They used to.
Yeah, well, I think they still do actually for a lot of their for some of their typesetting. They still use that one, And I like that one kind of in bold for my title text. And then below that, or, for my notes and everything, I use Tecton. But I've actually switched up. I started that way. And then for a few projects, I actually changed and used all sans serif fonts. And I used, I'll look it up here, but I used a couple other fonts, but everything was sans serif, no architectural font at all. And I don't know, to me, it looked a little impersonal. So I went back to using the Tecton font for the main text.
For the more personal touch.
Yeah, well, for dimensioning and stuff like that. But most of all my title block stuff is all done with Myriad.
How does Neil say I love you in Tecton font?
All right, smart ass. What do you use?
Oh, and let's just
Arial?
real quick with the whole Arial thing. You know why everybody uses it is because it is a pain in the butt to go through and change out every Revit family.
Yeah.
To update that, it's in the section marker heads, it's in the elevation marker heads, it's in the room names, it's everywhere, right? And so I did that once. I went through every single thing and created a template where I switched them all out. And it didn't live long because I had stripped a bunch of stuff out of the template that we didn't need at the time, and then people started to add things back in, and eventually they just ditched the template and went back to another one. But that's a lot of work, and that's why, because they make it so difficult. It's not like just a global setting, because all these things live in individual families and different places in the folders of the family folders and stuff, and so it's so much work to go through and do it. So I think most people just leave it.
Do you know what the default font for Master Spec is? Arial.
That was my guess.
When you create your documents, both specs and drawings, they're consistent.
Yeah.
I mean,
how does Master Spec say I love
you? It is
you?
Absolutely unimaginative, sure. But can you read it? Absolutely. Do people read it when they say, I didn't see that you had all of these threshold,
read it, you mean?
These threshold covers, and I'm going to submit a change order, and I have to point out where it was in the specs? No. But, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah, those are two different questions. Is it readable, and did they read it?
Exactly.
Well, my latest font that we're using is Avenir. I like Avenir a lot. Very readable, very modern, clean.
Avenir.
Now, what is my personal one?
Yeah, what's your personal one?
Neutra font.
I like Neutra too. That's a good one.
I absolutely love that.
I've seen it around quite a bit lately, and I think that's when I always take a cue, like, oh, it's time to move on.
Move
on to something else.
Yeah.
But I've seen it on billboards, I've seen it on commercials, I start to see it in different places, and I think, oh, okay, time for something new. But it is a beautiful typeface. Who did that one? The Foundry, or was that, I can't remember. But yeah, there's some good font houses out there, for sure.
Yeah.
So Avenir is our latest, and then, I mean, we do a ton of stuff in Helvetica because it's timeless. I mean, there's a documentary. You have to use it.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love that documentary. It's fantastic.
Oh, the Helvetica
We need to put
one?
a link. Yeah, we need to put a link to that.
Gary
that's
Huswit's Helvetica.
Yeah.
And then if you watch, I can't remember the name of it, but the documentary on Massimo Vignelli, I mean, he used it for the New York subway maps, and he talks about like the three fonts he uses, like Helvetica, Optima, and there's like one more. Can't remember. I think it was just Palatino.
Arial?
No. He uses a serif font. I think it's a Palatino. But he's like, those are the only fonts you ever need. That's it.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Okay, so for the listeners who are PC bound, and my day-to-day operations are PC bound.
My condolences to you.
You don't have Helvetica. You have to buy Helvetica.
Well, yeah, you have to buy it.
And no office
but there are
that I've ever
and
worked
they're so
for.
goddamn cheap, they won't.
Exactly. So you're stuck with the Courier or Arial.
I hear you.
And I'm just saying, I mean, that's why, people default. I mean, we had this conversation last week with Mark about the cost of all the different softwares and stuff like that. So you think they're going to go out and spend another $100 for a font?
Look, if you want your drawings to look good, and if you care about your drawings, you will buy a font.
I understand. I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
People rail on the graphic qualities. This is part of that.
Well, when I was solo, we went out and we bought Helvetica because that's what we wanted. Plus, we were bouncing back and forth between Mac and PCs, that we just wanted a consistent look across the board. We went out and we bought Helvetica.
Good on you.
Yeah. So listeners, what fonts do you use on your drawings? Let us know. We're curious. And don't forget, you can always call our hotline 415
Times New Roman.
Shut up, man! I'm giving out the phone number here. 415-484-8496. Give us a call. Let us know what your favorite font typeface is. Shouldn't say font. It's a really typeface. Sort of typeface do you like to use?
Just reminisce for a moment.
Hey, Grandpa, it's font now.
All right.
You're going to get hate mail for that.
Yeah. No, you are Cormac, not me.
Mail Cormac.
Mail Cormac. Cormac at archispeakpodcast.com.
Find me in the in your computer tree where the typeface folder is. I bet you find it in the font folder.
All right, fair enough. You got me on that one. That's true.
One last thing on fonts. One last thing. Remember the days, I mean, maybe you still do this, but I remember getting on that Mac Classic and just hitting the font menu in Mac Write and looking at all the fonts. Yeah. And that was just like magic back in the day. That was fun. That was cool stuff.
The new default font coming up this fall on your iOS devices or your Macs, if you upgrade is San Francisco. And actually, I'll look it up here. On the original Macintosh operating system, the San Francisco font looked very different from the one that's coming this fall.
It's not good. But okay, so if they could do that back then, how come there are programs that we use that can't do that now? I want to pull down that font menu and I want to see what they look like. Why is this so difficult? Like, I can't remember what they all look like. I'm 40 years old.
That's what Font Book is for.
Yeah, I guess.
Pop open Font Book and you're good to go.
All right, let's take it on to the next topic. So
telegraph us the next one, Neil.
All right, where are we going next here? I got to look at the list. Okay, so consultants, yeah. We've had a couple of people send us notes in the past about this one, but one of the first of which, there's kind of a two-parter here. The comment was, why is it impossibly hard to find consulting engineers that give enough of a crap to do their job well, do it on time, and be a team player? What's up with that?
I
think that's pretty isolated incident, don't you think?
Sometimes
it's hit or miss, and you know this as well as I do, Evan, that when we're going after a public works, public school type project, and we've got to be a low bid, and we've got to nickel and dime everybody that is working under us, that sometimes, just like in construction, when you're the low bid, you get what you pay for.
So yeah, if you're the low bid, you get the job, and then we get to do your work for you.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Just, I don't have those meetings in.
Right.
In my, so how am I supposed to, I've got to just give you additional services for that. Like, how are you supposed to build something if you never attend a meeting to find out exactly what you're building or designing?
Yeah, I agree.
I've honestly had that conversation before.
It's frustrating, and I think that there are different, obviously this leading question here is that there are different levels of consultants out there, right? There are bottom scrapers. I think it is, you get what you pay for, because there are lots of consultants out there who will do an amazing job, and they don't take a low fee to do it, right? But you get what you pay for it. Here's the things that you want in a consultant. You want someone who adds value to the project. You want someone who comes in with fresh ideas and is throwing out and brainstorming and coming up with solutions that you never expected. And you want to have that back and forth riffing going on with your consultants because it's going to make the project better. But there's so many times when we pick a consultant because of their low fee, we end up doing their work for them. They don't add any value.
Yeah.
And it's here's the thing. Like, I don't get to choose the consultants that I get to work with, right? Somebody else in the firm, in these larger firms, gets to pick who that is. And that's usually based on some old buddy-buddy relationship. and they're picking them because of the martinis that they buy them. And so the person who gets stuck with that consultant and has to work with them for months or years, and actually go through the painful process of doing that, is not the one who's getting taken out to the martini bar. So
Yeah.
there needs to be a lot more communication within the teams, within the firms, to say, you know what, how do we vet which consultants are good and which ones are bad? And then you have to kind of come up with a rating system, I think, in your office so that you can actually start picking consultants that do add value and bring something to the table. Otherwise, it's painful, right? And it's not painful for that principal, but it's painful for the people, the project manager, and the people who are working on the project.
You know, and a lot of times, and it doesn't seem to happen as often as it should, but at the end of every project, there should be a team meeting with at least just the project architects, project manager, and the principal, you know, so that you can talk about and evaluate the performance of the consultants on the team and let them know what was good and bad and different, you know, and then next time another project comes around, you really kind of take that to heart and think about, well, you know, I mean, they were really difficult on this project, or they were, you know, they shined, and really
Be honest.
and add some value to the project the next time around, or just you're one and done.
Right.
Because, you know, I mean, we're really looking for a collaborative partner in design. Not just, I don't want just an engineer who's going to basically make what, you know, okay, we want to do this. All right, I'll figure out a way to make it work. No, I want you to come in and talk to me about the merits of this idea, that idea, your idea, everybody's idea, and work as part of a team. I mean, some of the best projects I've ever worked on, the engineers are not just an engineer, but they're a designer as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I love it when you have an idea and it gets your consultant. You know, I think this works really well with structural engineers.
Yeah.
There's some that I've worked with that are just like, they get so excited when you talk them through something, and then they think, I can make that even better, right? And they come back with something. And then there's the other ones that totally drag down by being ultra conservative. I mean, in California, with all the lateral stuff that we have to deal with, it's very easy for them to rely on being super conservative, especially in public work where we're dealing with the state architect who has their own structural interpretation of the code, which is super conservative already, and they just want to comply to kind of grease that process, right? To make it as easy as possible once it goes into plan check. But when a structural engineer comes with, they get excited about the project and they have different ideas, and you're having like a design charrette with a structural engineer and you're going back and forth, that is a really cool process to go through. And I've worked with engineers like that who have been taken off of our projects because they are spending too much time on it. So their principal will take them off the project and they'll stick somebody else on who just doesn't communicate well, who doesn't respond, doesn't return emails, and now all of a sudden the project is suffering because of it.
Yeah.
So it's too bad, but I see it all the time.
You know, I have to agree with you guys. I just recently actually had this experience. Since I've been on my own, I've kind of worked with some past consultants that I've worked with in prior firms, and so speaking strictly of just structural right now, I've worked with this one gentleman over a number of years, and he's really good. He calls me. He asks a lot of questions, and I kind of feel like he's part of the team, right? He's always like, hey, how is this going to work? Or I have a suggestion for this. And it works out really well in that when I do get his final drawings, they're pretty well coordinated already with mine because we've kind of worked through the process throughout. And he also charges more. And so recently I've had a couple other newer projects, and on one, the structural engineer was chosen by somebody else, and I had to use that structural engineer. Nice guy, does an adequate job, but again, going back to what you guys were just saying, the price, what you get, and this experience was horrible. There were mistakes, things that I would get back he'd send me like these preliminary drawings, and I'd be like, "Is that it? Is this all you're doing?" First off, and I'm like, "Well, what about this? And what about that?" It's like almost like he sent me a couple of days before our deadline. He sends, "Oh, here's my final drawings." I'm like, "Well, you realize that there's no access in this underfloor access space. What about putting the additional heel height on this part of the roof where we have to bump up the heel height to make everything flush out?" And actually his response to me was, "Well, that goes on the architecture drawings." I'm like, "Really?" Well, I have a feeling the truss manufacturer is not even going to look at my drawings when he goes to build the trusses. He's going to look at your drawings. And when he doesn't see the note on your drawings, guess who's going to be marking up the shop drawings because they're going to be wrong? And that's only if I get a chance to see the shop drawings. Most likely they'll build the damn things and then send them out to the job site. And I'll be like, yeah, this is wrong. Send them back and then rebuild them the way, they were supposed to. But again, it's like you get what you pay for. And, anyway, it's a bad experience. And I'm sure the guy cares, but he does what he does for a certain price. And that's the level of service you're going to get.
Right.
And,
none of that is explained up front.
Oh God, no.
Right. Because that will mean that you won't get the job.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, when I present many of my clients, I give them options. Here's a few different structural engineers, and oftentimes they're usually kind of the two that I've used in the past are all usually about the same price, plus or minus a little bit. But this guy's coming in way lower. And so I've had another client like, "Oh, we want to go with him. This guy, he's cheap." And I'm just like, "Oh no, don't do that." I mean, I'm sure their house isn't going to fall down. It's not going to cause, any major issues, most likely, with their project. And hey, they're going to get it for 5/8 of the price. Well, not quite half, but so they're going to save some money. Well, I mean, that's good, but it's going to cause me some more grief. That's for sure.
Yeah, I want an engineer who can think, right? I want it, whether it's mechanical or structural, I want somebody who can visualize in 3D, or at least open the 3D model and look in it and cut some sections and figure it out. What I often find is that usually those are the junior engineers who are running the Revit models. And it's the older engineers who don't know how to do that, and they're thinking of everything in single line. And so therefore I'm having to cut sections and send screenshots and say, "Run your duct here," right? Because this is where the space is. But I shouldn't have to do that.
Mechanical's the worst.
My
They're
favorite. Well, I don't know. I have a bone to pick with civil engineers, but
it's always
that's
a worse
story. But no, actually, one of my favorite and probably most memorable points of a project was when I was working on that historic project where I've got two different elevations of two different buildings and I'm connecting between the two, and we're running our main mechanical boiler room and everything else are over in one building, and we're running it through that building, through the addition, into the other building. So you're coming in at all these different elevations. So we're bringing them across the, carrying them tight to the structure of the connecting building into the next building. It's coming through the wall at like 7 foot something. And it's like, okay, well, clearly that's going to be below ceiling. What do you need to do with it? What was great about it is that, we sat there and we brainstormed and we all came up with an idea of, basically kind of creating this interesting little, almost like a recess wall with a low soffit line. And it ended up being where we put a lot of casework, and it looked really cool. But because of this, this low ceiling line that was at 7'4", the head height lined up perfectly with, the head of the door and everything else. So we kind of could carry that line straight through the room. But right at that line was the ductwork coming through. And we're talking about big, massive, trunk lines. But it was because he cut a section. He was like, well, you've got, we had the structural, mechanical, and architectural models all merged together. And, it was the first time that we actually finally used Revit successfully to actually see all of the problems that we had in this project.
Well, it only works if everybody's doing it.
That is true, and there's so many times where the and I don't get this. I don't know if you've ever had this argument made where, well, our fees only include AutoCAD drawings,
Yes.
not Revit.
Yes.
What?
Not anymore, but I've heard that, in the last few years, I've heard that many times.
Yeah. Well, I've had it as far back as a month ago.
Far back as a month ago.
Exactly.
Jeez. Yeah, well, it is cheaper, right?
Yeah.
It is cheaper, but now if you've got cloud subscriptions, they're pretty much the same or pretty close.
Well, one of the things I used to do when I worked in production housing that I found worked well, and this goes back maybe 10 years now, but so we didn't have Revit models to do any of that sort of thing, and quite honestly, the people building or working on these production houses weren't going to be building Revit models of the projects, but I could be wrong about that, but certainly not 10 years ago they weren't. But so one of the successful things that I was able to do is probably what you're doing now, Cormac, by meshing these models together. But back then, what I found, and I still think this would be useful for anyone out there listening, is get everybody in the same room. So I when I would run jobs for builders, the couple of builders I worked with, I would bring the architect in, I'd bring the structural engineer, mechanical, our construction crew, our construction manager guy in, and I'd put everybody in the same room with the preliminary set of drawings, say, 30% done construction drawings or something, or maybe even prior to that, right? So kind of late stage design development, early construction drawings, and we'd all get in the room. They've all had a chance to look at them, and it's like, okay, mechanical, where you're running your stuff. Structural, is that a problem? Oh, you've got a beam there. Okay, how do we either engineer that beam out of this place or we change the ducting? And then the construction guys are there, so they're like, okay, yep, this will work. I can do that. The engineer, and you get everybody on the same page. And what I found was that at least when we were doing production housing, you do that one meeting. Yeah, you're probably in there 3 or 4 hours or something. You buy everybody lunch or whatever. But that investment of time and effort early in the construction drawing process solved so many problems once you got out to the field. Because I've been involved in so many projects where none of that happens, right? The developer is not out in front of the project because they don't have an architectural manager or an architect working for them. It's just like, hey, get our drawings done, get them into the city, get them approved, let's start building, right? And then they go, oh, we'll solve it later. You get out into the field and it's built. It's like, okay, yeah, now we're on a frame walk. Oh yeah, rip this beam out, change this, run this isn't going to work. That shit cost money. I mean, and time and effort and delays in the project. It's like, really? I could have solved all of this months ago by one half-day meeting. And it works. So anybody listening here, if you are in that position or, if you've had these problems, use, like Cormac said, I mean, whether if you're using Revit and your team is using Revit, the mechanical structurals, get them all in the same room, look at that model, solve all those problems up ahead, because that's what saves money down the line.
And time.
Absolutely. So, I mean, whether you're using Revit or if you're kind of more old fashioned and just using basic CAD or some other sort of BIM, put all of those different people, the mechanical people, the contractors, the structural, all of these consultants and people involved, put them all in the same room, and you'll be surprised how much that solves so many problems. And it really can work. So, I mean, that's my tip for this episode. If you do that, or if you can. So if you're the architect on the project, make the suggestion to the client, the developer, the builder, whoever it might be, to do that and force it to happen, because it will save a lot of pain and suffering later on.
Yeah, and I think now you can do that with clash detection. Get everybody in the room and go through the clashes, and or just kind of order your consultants in priority and have structural come in and then have mechanical come in, and they don't all have to be there the whole day. They can come in one after another and do that, but it works really well for that kind of thing. And what I've found now is that there's one job that we did that finished a few years ago where the contractor built an entire BIM model based on our printed set of plans.
Wow.
They went back and built the whole thing. They did all the disciplines so that they could do all that clash detection themselves, because they obviously didn't trust what we had. And now I've heard it where they're taking our model and maybe not structural model, and then going in and doing it all themselves. Usually now the steel fabricator is going to build their own anyway, because they're going to produce their shop drawings from it, but they'll use the architect's model as their base. But then the contractor will also then take our model, take that structural model, and then build all their own everything else so that they can eliminate all the clashes themselves.
Let me take a side road here real fast about that. So here you have been spending, let's just say a year. Let me be conservative and say you spent a year developing all of your construction documents. Now it's off to construction. And the contractor asks for your CAD or your BIM model or whatever so that he can produce his shop drawings and everything off of that. How do you guys feel about that? Or how do you guys deal with it?
Honestly, I want to just I want them to build off the model. I'd rather do that than do all these drawings.
Well, but we're not there yet. And we've talked about this before. Until we get to the point where we're building off of the model, we still produce all of these 2D documents for them to build off of, and that's technically what they bid the job off of and should be building off of. And yes, we all know that it is a hell of a lot easier for them to take all of these BIM models and be able to generate their above ceiling coordination documents, all of their steel shop drawings, everything, off of all of this, all of these different documents. It's a lot easier for them to do that. But there's this argument that, well, you want this stuff, you got to pay us for it, because, we spent tens of thousands of dollars of man hours developing all of these documents, and now you just want them for free?
Let's get into that. Let's talk about it for a minute. Let's do a sponsor break real quick, and then we'll pick right back up right there. All right. So let's talk about ARCAT. And everybody who listens to the show already knows about ARCAT, and that is a good thing, because ARCAT.com is our friend. Would you like someone to draw CAD details for you, create BIM objects for you, write specifications for you? Would you like someone to do it for free? ARCAT has already done all of this. Search the ARCAT libraries for these products and more, free of charge, no registration required to download content. ARCAT has created a website devoted to you, the building professional, to find building product information fast and hassle-free. Check out ARCAT today at arcat.com. That's ARCAT.com. And just a quick little story here. I mean, maybe you guys can add to this or not, but there are manufacturers out there who, instead of just letting you download your content right from their site, you click on the product and it goes over to ARCAT's website.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So I think that is a sign of the times. ARCAT is becoming and is this repository for all of these manufacturers in one place. You don't even have to go out to the manufacturer websites unless you want to look at the pretty pictures. If you want to download their product information, their Revit models, their families, their any kind of IFC models, if you want to download PDFs of their specifications, their product sheets, you can get all of that right on arcat.com. So very, very cool.
Yeah, the great thing about it is, okay, so you go in there and I want to look up thresholds. Let's pick the most invigorating of conversation topics there. Thresholds. And so you go in and you find a family or a detail or whatever. You can have the CAD model or the Revit model. You can get the specifications. You can get the cut sheet. You can be able to provide the owner or, the owner's rep a cut sheet of what you're looking for and what you want to use. So, I mean, you've got all of the different materials that you would be using to document it, to specify it, to, have a visual approval. And hell, I mean, even a lot of the stuff that I see on ARCAT are things that I'm getting as submittals to review because there's all the documents right there for them to be able to look at product data and testing performances and all of this other stuff. So, I mean, it is a well-rounded tool for you to be able to look at almost every type of documentation thing that you would be doing for every little bit and piece of your building.
Yep. So, thank you, ARCAT, and everybody go check out
you.
arcat.com and search for your building products there. You will most likely find everything that you need and more. So thanks, ARCAT, for sponsoring ArcaSpeak podcast.
Including thresholds.
I like that. Invigorating. All right, so back to what you were saying about basically giving away our IP to get the project built. And I think it depends on the scale of the project. There are definitely types of projects where it doesn't make sense to give away that information because they could be replicated very easily, right, in this digital age. I don't see that happening in the type of work that we're doing because it's so specific, so large. I mean, it's not like you're going to find another 116,000 square foot math and science building on another campus that looks exactly like the one that I'm working on because somebody used that information. But
I'm using it right now because you post so many images that I've been presenting it to our clients here. No,
and it works perfectly. But I mean, really, I think that ship has sailed, at least in our part of the
Evan,
industry.
how different is this, guys, from a few years back when we were asked to pass off drawings to the structural engineers so they could use them as their base?
Well,
right.
Well, that
was a serious question. Should we be giving up our IP, our hard work to enter all these floor plans back, essentially that we're going to hand over to the engineer, the structural engineer, so that he can draw over the top of them?
Well, see, that's different because here you're working with. Let me explain.
Okay.
Because here you're working as part of your consulting, your design team is your structural engineer, your MEP, your civil engineer, and all of these other, specialty engineers and stuff. They're basically helping you, if we use the old human body analogy, we're creating the skin and everything else. They're creating the bones, and MEP's creating the distribution system and everything else. So all of this stuff needs to be integrated and coordinated back and forth between each other. So yeah, you should be giving it to them. And if you think about it, that argument translates onto the contractor because the contractor is the one responsible to build all of that stuff. But so I'm of two minds here, where the reason I don't like giving contractors the digital set of things, because every time I turn around, when I get a submittal, it's my drawings, and they're asking me to approve my drawings, and
well, it should be easy for you then, right?
Well,
yeah, that's perfect. Looks good to me.
Yes, but then here's the thing is, did they really look at the drawings, or did they just turn my reflected ceiling plan around and say, here is your
you mean did they figure it out for you?
Well, if it's a design build delivery system, then honestly they should have as much input in the review of the documents as any other part of the project team. But if you're doing just a bid delivery system where there you get all the different contractors bidding after it and all that other stuff, and they're submitting your drawings back to you, my worry is, are you really looking at the drawings? Do you really know what you're building? I mean, we're putting in
the answer to that.
I know.
The answer is no, and you answered your original question in your answer also, where you said when you give it to them, because you don't say no, and you always give it to them.
Well, I mean, we actually charge.
Do you?
We do. We actually we don't give them the full model. We give them base drawings. We charge them an administration fee for basically stripping down the CAD. We only give CAD files. We do not give Revit files.
It's not going to be long until you do that.
And it's not. I mean, here's the thing. There was we did let's just call it $100 million high school renovation project. Major additions, complete gutting of the system, new systemics, the whole thing. And we worked with the construction manager, and they built a Revit model based off of our Revit model. I mean, we provided them a Revit model, and they built, because we didn't have a fully integrated team where mechanical and structural and everybody else was fully doing full Revit. They were doing kind of mocking up and doing a few things, but so they built a full model. They did clash detections and all of this other stuff, and they worked out all of the problems that, in essence, we should have been or were working out, and it made it go a lot smoother. It goes back to what you were saying, Neil, about, if we would have worked it out ahead of time, or if we would have sat there and built that model, then we would have been able to save time and energy and effort during the construction process. And so it worked out great. It was, I'm not going to say it went smooth, because it was it was a project in itself, just to do that. But, that's, I'm hoping, being the eternal optimist here, I'm hoping that that's where the profession is going, where we'll be able to build off of the model, where we'll be able to integrate the contractor, and all of the consultants and everybody else into the process. So we're going to have better buildings. We'll be able to integrate the manufacturers of all of the different systems into the project.
Well, that's
into
the I in
process.
BIM, right? And not enough architects, I think, use it to that.
Exactly.
And I can't fully generalize that, but
No, you're right, though.
because there are some that do, but that is where the information part comes in. That is the smartness of it that not enough people utilize.
Yeah,
And
again, remember,
as
it's
that
just a tool.
becomes more and more useful, right, for cost estimating, for CMs, for everybody, to have that information embedded in there, then that transition can happen. But until then, I mean, and right now, the mantra seems to be, less is more. The less we can do, the better, because of all of these other things that are happening, right? You want to minimize your amount of input that you're putting in, so that you can. But it comes back and bites you.
Let me give you a less is more kind of example today. So I was looking, and yes, I'm going to be harping on this threshold thing so
Inspire
basically,
us.
in our hardwood flooring spec for the gym floor, we cover all of the thresholds for the transitions between the hardwood floor and any other dissimilar flooring material. We cover it there. We specify what type of transition thresholds and everything else that we want. They completely missed it. So I get an RFI, and I went and I was kind of standing at this, we've got this cutting table in the middle of the thing. It's just a place for people to kind of lay stuff out, and you can stand up. So I was reviewing the specs to make sure it was in there, and one of the interns says, "Wow, that's a lot of information that you need to." And I'm like, "Sure." And they're like, "Do you write that much stuff on for every project?" And I was just like, "Hold on, this is volume 1 of 3, and every one of them is more than a ream of paper, double-sided. So you've got this stack. It's probably a good foot in, maybe 14 inches tall of paper. And that's just the specs. And then you've got the 2 volumes of drawings that are 300 sheets itself. And God, I wish less was more. I was like,
Right.
they used to build cathedrals with 8 sheets.
Right.
And here we have thousands of sheets. And I'm trying to explain to them, I'm like, look, the drawings are just the drawings, and the specs are the specs, but together, that's the contract documents. several other things, obviously. But, and so you can't just have one. You have to have all of this stuff. Yeah, less would be greatly more. If you had it in the model and it was tagged properly and everything else, and you build it off the right family, and you click on that family and it's got all of the technical information on there, that's where we should be.
Yeah.
Not where we are now.
That'd be great.
I think we need to wake Cormac up. He's living in fantasy land.
No, we're not. It's there.
You're out on Fantasy Island.
Well, and this is not the day.
It is the eye.
The plane.
It is the eye.
The plane.
It is the eye in BIM.
We used to be able to rely on contractors to figure some of this stuff out.
And now we have to think for them.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Right. Well, so we're thinking for the consultants and the contractors now.
And we get paid less to do it.
Yeah, we still don't. I was going to say, exactly, thanks. You beat me to it.
Wah, wah.
I want to come back eventually to the topic of we're doing all of this work and having to and doing it up front to save money down the road. But I want to address later on, and we'll come to this in another episode, of getting paid to do all that work up front, because it seems like they don't want to pay for it up front. It's like, go, let's get it built. And then they end up paying for it at the end because of all the errors. But
so we can't leave this topic quite yet, because we're still in the billing mode of X amount of dollars for SD, X amount of dollars for DD, and then a whole boatload of dollars goes into CDs. But yet, the new BIM, the way that we do BIM now, we're doing so much work up front, but we're not getting paid for it. Because, ultimately at the end of the project, you see all of this.
Well, you'll make it up, right? Yeah.
You'll make it up, but that's not, but the problem is that the time is short for SD and DD, and the new BIM needs to reverse that, where we're top heavy in time up front, and really if you work it all out up front, the development of the construction documents should really be a lot shorter than it is. But the problem is that we're trying to hybridize this delivery method of BIM versus the traditional way of doing it, where we're spending a lot of time up front doing the BIM, but we're still BIM, the modeling, and we're doing all of the modeling up front, but it's also straddling into CDs, and we need to change that model where we're spending more time in SD and DD, and literally we're done with the modeling at the end of DD, and we're just making the documents.
Yeah, just to give you an example, I was reading through a list of deliverables for schematic design today, because we're wrapping up a schematic design on our project. And for 3D imagery, it just says conceptual imagery that shows the basic, and it's so super vague, right? The basic conceptual massing of what the architecture might look like. And what are we turning in? We're turning in almost full-blown renderings that show exactly what it's going to look like.
In reality, they want that photo real, with people and everything else. Or, hey, if you could, Evan, why don't you go ahead and kick in an animation too?
Yeah, well, and that was part of it. That is it. Yep.
See?
And the funny thing is like when you are building these BIM models and you are doing that heavy lifting up front, it forces you to make a lot of decisions.
Right.
And so we are heavily loading our initial meetings and trying to get the clients to make lots of decisions early, because that means we can go even faster, right? If we have approvals to do these things, then we can do so much more, which ultimately is good for us and is good for the project, but we're working at a pace that is pretty killer. And then also that payment model doesn't fit with that. You're exactly right. You're doing all that work up front, but you're not going to get paid for it for a while.
Right.
And so you seem like you're over budget for the first half of the project, and then and everybody's yelling at you to go faster and do it in less time. And then you get to the back end of the project, and people are slowing down and taking their time and cruising because they know that they've got a lot of extra time because so much was figured out already. So,
we had a billing meeting one time, and we were looking at one of my projects, and we were over budget on SD, and we were over budget on DD, and we were way under budget on CDs. And, they were talking about, well, can you justify this? And I'm like, the project's in permitting right now. We're good to go. Actually, it was in a bid, which meant, we were done doing, any drawings and all that other stuff, other than our addendum. But, and it was because the way that the way that their billing model does not work with the new production model of, using Revit or, any other BIM tool. And, it's just until we can reconcile that and move out of the Stone Age of doing it the old-fashioned way. I mean, there's still going to be firms that are going to be doing that kind of model because that's the way that they deliver their products. That's fine, but we're not doing that right now.
Well, I think lots of firms are. So it definitely is working. And for some people, it takes a lot of communication. It takes a lot of people kind of learning to work in new ways, especially if you're dealing with clients who do a lot of projects, right? Those are the ones it's difficult with. If you're working in residential or if you're working in one-off projects, it's not as big of a deal. It's a lot easier to make those convincing arguments because the evidence is right there. It's in the drawings. But when you get into these established systems, that's where it becomes a lot more difficult because they have procedures and they don't want to change those, right? So,
well, but then, like we're working for like public school systems and things like that. When they get their funding, they get funding for X amount percentage for SD, X amount of percentage for DD, and X amount, which is usually the heavier, X amount for CDs. And that's the billing method. And so we're almost we're tied to the way that our clients are set up their billing for these projects as well. And until we can stand up and say, look, the way you're now demanding a delivery method of BIM and your billing method is not BIM anymore. It is the old way of doing things, and we need to start talking about changing that. And so far we're just like, well, we got a job.
Yeah.
Well, we have a podcast.
That's right.
And if you have questions or comments, visit our website at archispeakpodcast.com. And there you'll find individual links to our Twitter accounts and the Archispeak Podcast Facebook page. So you too can join in on that conversation that we're having. Let us know your favorite fonts. I really want to know this. And also, too,
I'm more interested in the coffee.
You want to know about the coffee. So let us know and call the Archispeak Podcast line at 415-484-8496. Describe how you like to have your coffee made. And if you haven't already done so, please leave us a review on iTunes. It helps get the word out about the show and raises up that ranking on iTunes so that people are aware of it. So we appreciate that, so please do so. And other than that, stay subscribed, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, and if you need to contact Neil directly, his number is ... Shut
up, Cormac.
All right, good night, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.
My kind of luck, I'll be up on the block in front of all of my friends. This is what you get. This is what you get. This is the schedule. This is the set. It's unpredictable, lest you forget. If you blow, you can bet I know.